When I started this series, the very first enhancement talent that I wanted to feature was the Gambler. But for obvious reasons, I had to cover Barry Horowitz first. Now that he's out of the way, we can talk about one of my favorite unsung heroes of all time, the Gambler. He embodies everything that I want this series to be about. The Gambler was a jobber to the stars from 1990 to 1999 in World Championship Wrestling. Jeff Gann started his professional wrestling career in 1990 by signing a contract with World Championship Wrestling, and he trained at the WCW power plant. He made his debut on WCW television as an enhancement talent on November 17th on an episode of World Championship Wrestling, where he lost to the Big Cat under the ring name Jeff Gambler. The following week on November 24th episode of World Championship Wrestling, Gamble and Scott Sadlin lost to the Big Cat and the Motor City Madman. His next appearance was on the January 13th, 1991 episode of Main Event, where he lost to Bobby Eaton. The USWA and WCW had a great working relationship together, and it was there in the USWA that Jeff Gann developed the character, the Gambler. When the Gambler character first came around, he came out with a deck of cards and would throw them into the crowd. He had a top hat with the ace of spades on it, a jacket, and a vest. His ring work was solid, and he constantly made everyone look like $1,000,000. He worked as a great heel. In fact, he looked like somebody that you would want to beat up. That worked very well in his favor. He would constantly work the smaller WCW shows such as Worldwide, WCW Pro, and WCW Saturday Night, putting over the would-be future stars of WCW. It's almost as if he was built in the WCW power plant to help make talent. As time progressed on, he changed up his look a bit and started losing hair on the top of his head. He ditched the hat and vest and wore a black jacket to the ring. To me, this is the ultimate look for him. He really looked like a guy who was down on his luck from gambling and took it out in the ring. He still carried the cards out to the ring, and he would throw them in disgust at the fans. The Gambler put over so many rising and established stars during his career, and he served as the first opponent for Prince Iaukea on January 1st, 1996 episode of WCW Saturday Night, and Glacier on September 8th episode of WCW Pro. Chris Jericho, another young wrestler at the time, recalled a bout against the Gambler. He was a journeyman to many wrestlers, he said, that I had never seen before or since. His gimmick was he was a Kenny Rogers impersonator. Even though that gimmick would rule, his actual gimmick was of a Maverick-style riverboat gambler. It was a horrible feeling that knowing my future was in the hands of a man who did card tricks on his way to the ring. I didn't know if he was good or if he sucked, but my self-esteem was at such low that I left the match up to him. I was gambling on the Gambler. Having confidence is a huge part of being successful. When you have it, you can do no wrong. When you don't, all you can do is wrong. At that point, my previous accomplishments didn't mean a damn thing. This was my last chance. The Gambler led the match, and I followed him. He was a meat and potatoes wrestler, so it was nothing fancy. It was exactly what I needed. It was this type of basic match that I would have had in wrestling camp. No bells and whistles, just a good story and solid execution. Lo and behold, he had a good little match, and within 5 minutes, I had regained my confidence and once again became Chris Jericho, world beater. If that nod from Chris Jericho doesn't sum up the Gambler the best, I don't know what would. He was a solid worker who would put on no-nonsense matches and work the basics to help people look good. At one point, he even used one of my favorite WCW themes. He took Michael Wall Street's theme, Good Rockin', when Wall Street joined the NWO. The image of the Gambler coming out with the cards, the jacket, and that theme song will forever be ingrained in my mind. It really was special. The Gambler's final match was on August 21st episode of WCW Worldwide, where he lost to Johnny Attitude. He was released from his WCW contract on August 31st, 1999. I can't say anything more positive about this guy. He broke down wrestling to the fundamentals and made everyone he got in the ring with look awesome. He had a memorable gimmick and a killer theme song. He was featured on a ton of WCW shows as an enhancement talent, but I believe if he was given a chance, he could have gotten to that primetime spot. I mean, WCW had a ton of talent on shows, and certainly there was a spot on one of those shows for the Gambler. Maybe the Gambler needed a gimmick change or a push in a different direction, or maybe he didn't. Maybe the world needs more people like the Gambler. A guy who's a good hand, who showed up to work every day, and he did the job he was asked to do. I mean, if you think about it, he did something right, because I'll never forget the name, the Gambler, in WCW.